Welcome back. I'm Raymond Wu. We'll continue our discussion with Dr. David Huang, currently of the academic Sinica, formerly Taiwan's trade deputy representative to Washington, D.C. David, this segment we're going to start off with something a little more sensitive. We'll talk about another important area between U.S.-Taiwan relations, which is on the military dimension. We know that under the Taiwan Relations Act, U.S. is important supplier of defensive arms and hardware to Taiwan. How would you think that relationship would change in that aspect, given the fact that there is some positive progress in cross-strait relations with the United States regard the defensive arms sales to Taiwan is still a very important part of the U.S.-Taiwan relations, or is that going to be changed in the future?
Well, I think the U.S. fulfill the legal requirements under the Taiwan Relations Act.
Yes.
The U.S. has the responsibility, duty. U.S. has a duty to facilitate Taiwan's self-defense. Under that legal requirements, the U.S. government is obliged to assess Taiwan defense need and this deliver some arms sale to Taiwan. So I think at this moment, I think since Ma's inauguration as the president of the Republic of China in Taiwan, I think the legislative yuan already passed a $6.8 billion US arms sale package, which of course provoked the Beijing's strong reaction against.
They suspended
U.S.-China's military exchange.
Yes.
But during the Mrs. Clinton visit, I think the Beijing agreed to resume the middle rankings military officers exchange. So I think the Beijing will always deem arms sales to Taiwan as a really critical issue that will undermine the U.S. and China relations. But from the U.S. perspective, this is a legal requirement. So U.S. government will continue to pursue its own policies under the Taiwan Relations Act. But it all required whether the Taiwan actually met that request. So if suppose that the current government assess the current situations of the cross-strait relations, believe that the tension already decreased, subsided, there's no need for Taiwan to purchase arms or weapon from the United States, then United States reactively will say, well, since you don't make a request, then I don't sell. But the problem here is that, as I said in the previous sections, the President Ma Ying-jeou believed that the China's military threat on Taiwan is real.
Yes. So
security, by all means, defense, by all means, is also a top priority of the current Taiwanese government. So I believe that the arms sale issues will continue. That Taiwan will continue to request certain kinds of weapons from the United States. But that kind of the weapon sales will always go in under the table, quiet discussions, and very, very careful assessment of the security need. Whether you can see the United States would like to sell submarines or F-16s. I don't think that the current Obama administration will pursue that track because that would again provoke Beijing, and which this is the least like outcome that the Obama administration would like to see, especially during the first few months of the Obama administrations.
Yeah. And David, well, as I mentioned earlier, that you have not only been a scholar, you have also served in government, both as the former vice chairman of MAC, Mainland Affairs Council, and also the former, deputy representative to Washington. And we all know that in the last few years, among the academics here in Taiwan, one of the most hotly debated issue is the rise of China. And some people even say that, given the successful staging of the Beijing Olympic Games in August of 2008, China has already risen to become a prominent international power. And given the fact that for the last 8 to 9 months, there's been some decrease of tension. There's been relaxation of the confrontation stance across the Taiwan Straits. And some positive progress certainly has been made in economic relations between the two sides. Given that, and so some people are now calling, maybe it's the first time in a long time that there is the possibility to move away from the zero-sum mentality in the U.S., China, Taiwan triangular relationship to a win-win-win, a triple win situation for everybody. How would you assess that? And do you agree with such an assessment?
Well, I think in economic area, probably you can find a triple win situations.
Okay.
But in sovereignty issues, since China still claims the sovereignty over Taiwan, or even claims sovereignty over Republic of China. So I don't know how these become a positive sum games. But economic issues is one of the prominent area that we can pursue the win-win positions between China and Taiwan, and win-win position between Taiwan and the United States. But we still have to be very, very cautious, because in order to turn win-win positions, whether these win-win positions is at the expense of Taiwan's futures. We are proud of Taiwan as a full-fledged democracy.
Yes.
The democracy, by definition, means that people have choice. People have open choice of the future of Taiwan.
Decide.
So we have to preserve all the options open for the future of Taiwan. And this is what democracy means. So pursuing the economic interest in order to change the zero-sum game into the positive-sum game, we still have to hold our democracy, our democratic principle,
yes,
and let the people decide in the future, rather than simply foreclose the future for the next generation to decide in order to reap the benefit right now.
Yes.
And I believe that the government is wise enough, the current Taiwanese government is wise enough, try to preserve the options open,
yes,
but at the same time also reap a benefit in created so-called a win-win position. I hope this is the case.
Yeah, we all hope that it's going to work out. And in addition to U.S. arms sales to Taiwan, another dimension that is very sensitive in cross-strait relations is regarding Taiwan's international space. And we mentioned earlier in the previous segment that the U.S. Traditionally has supported Taiwan's meaningful participation in international organizations. Do you continue to believe that U.S. position will stay the course, not much change, especially given the fact that in May of this year, 2009, that we're going to have the WHA, the World Health Assembly, in Geneva, and would there be the possibility of Taiwan becoming a permanent observer status at WHA, and also participating meaningfully in the activities of WHO in the future? Do you foresee that?
Well, I think U.S. Will continue to support Taiwan's participation, meaningful participations in the international organizations. There's no doubt about the U.S. resolve of these policies. And this is a set policies, and it's a review in 1994, and I think the U.S. will continue these policies. As I said in the previous segment, the main obstacle for Taiwan to participate in the WHO-related forums is because of China. And China believes that Taiwan, as province of the PRC, has no qualification whatsoever to become the member or observer or even participate in all kind of the WHO forums, which of course is against the humanities, because under the human rights and health is very, very important issue. That's also why the United States government pursued so hard, tried very hard, tried to persuade China. Even Mrs. Clinton in her current visit, in her recent visit to the China, also mentions, ask Beijing to give Taiwan more international space. And I hope that this, in the end, Beijing will understand that this human rights that is transborders.
Yes.
It's also is over so-called sovereign claims, because the people's health is all the more important. And I think Taiwan has become a democracy, and the Taiwanese people always understand that what democracy means.
Yeah.
And if if people cannot have rightfully participate in the international organizations such as WHO, such important international forum, I think the Taiwanese people will feel very sad.
Yes.
And the dignitaries also will feel some hurt of the dignitaries.
I think there will be widespread disappointment if that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, we have about a minute left in the program, David. I'm going to shift the focus back to economics. We know a few weeks back, the most hotly discussed issue in Taipei is about Sinica with China. Of course, the name has subsequently changed to ECFA, ECFA. How would you think if something like that does get signed between Taiwan and China? How would you think that Taiwan can benefit, from the structural arrangement, and how would you caution not to sacrifice in the process our sovereignty, our right to choose?
Well, I think it's very important to understand the details of the substance of the SECA.
Yeah.
We don't know the substance, yes.
Yeah.
Now there's always a name change.
Not many people know.
Not many know. There's always a name change. So if we know the substance, we have to understand that if the substance is about the FTA, then both China and Taiwan are members of the WTO.
Yes.
We need to fit into the root
yes.
of that WTO.
Under that structure.
Under that structure.
Okay.
If it is only a framework,
okay.
then we have to ask the current government, what's the point to sign a framework without a substance?
Okay.
The framework is what Beijing want.
Okay.
The substance is what our industry
yes.
wants.
Yeah.
So our government must strike a balance in order to pursue our industrial benefits, bargain very hard against Beijing on this issue. If this is not the case, then how can you make the argument by saying that without this SECA or ECFA, that the Taiwan economy will marginalize? Because it's a framework.
Yes.
The framework does not mean anything. You need a substance, but in terms of substance, then you need hard bargains. Yeah. How many product lines you are going to
include in the process. I also think it's very important for the government to start an internal discussion process to reach a consensus before we proceed further. Exactly. Thank you very much, Dr. David Huang, to be on the program. We're certainly looking forward to the next opportunity when you can come back to the Taiwan Outlook.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. I'll see you.